Yo, what's going on, everyone? This is Conversations with Brian and Elijah, episode number 12, right? We're on 12? Pretty sure
I
we're on 12.
think so. Think so.
Um, yeah, so today we are going to be discussing Gary Vaynerchuk, someone who at one point was my boss. I interned for him in 2 consecutive summers. So today we're going to be
Wasn't
talking
it
about
three?
that. So, two. It was two. So it was
Two?
this past summer and then the summer before.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So 2 consecutive summers. How do you want to break this down? Let's just kind of start off maybe how I got the internship and then move
Yeah,
into
no,
a little bit
let's
more.
yeah, I'll kind of take more of the role of the interviewer today.
Do it.
Um but I want to know what even got you interested in, like, how did you even find out about him? Like, what got you, what were you searching something? How'd you come across Gary Vee?
Yeah. So, like many people, I got a lot of ads of all these kind of self-help guru types in the space.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I got exposed to a lot of different people that once I saw them, I knew that they weren't for me, the silly courses. And it's just, it wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
And then I saw Gary, and then, the first thing I noticed is, okay, wait, he's not trying to sell me anything. That's a good thing, right? All these other people were trying to sell me things, and I didn't like that. They were always trying to peddle something. And so when I saw Gary, I saw that he wasn't selling anything, and then I saw that he was saying things in such a way that it was just the truth. Like I think he said something that ideas are crap and that execution is key.
It's facts.
And so, I mean, I've always kind of been like the idea person, I always thought a lot. I had a lot of good ideas, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to hear someone say, okay, ideas are meaningless pretty much, it was like, well, wait a minute, what is this guy saying? And so then I kind of dug a little bit deeper into what he was saying. And I 100% agreed. Like, ideas are so meaningless if you don't actually do anything about it.
Definitely.
So that's how I got exposed to him. Is I just saw his first that he wasn't selling anything, and then just the way he said things with such bluntness and honesty.
Mm-hmm.
It was really refreshing.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I remember the first time I saw Gary Vee. I saw him on like an Instagram meme account. Like, I think he was using an influencer
Oh,
run it, and he was talking about grades. And it was at a time where I was like kind of starting to first question in school, like, and he was basically going on like, yeah, I was an F student, like, it's stupid. And I was like, wow, like, this guy gets me. But I looked at him, and I the first thing I thought too was like, man, this guy must be like a self-help like con man. But
yeah,
the more I
yeah,
realized, like, no, this guy runs a real business,
yeah,
got real advice, and he's not selling any courses, right? Don't sell courses. I think that's my number one rule for not being a con artist. If you sell a course, I honestly think you're a con artist, like, right away.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
you're not, but that's the first thing that comes to mind is if you sell courses, might be a con artist. But
yeah,
all
yeah.
right, so cool. So you find out, you find this guy, you like him, he's talking the truth, he's questioning your beliefs. You have a lot of good ideas, but he's making you got to put in the work, you got to execute on them. That's what he always says.
Yeah, yeah,
So then how did you get the internship? Like, how did that come
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah. So I was following him. I mean, probably for like 3 weeks at the time. So I wasn't such a big fan of his. I just liked the content. I was getting used to the content that he was doing. So 3 weeks to when I was first exposed to him, I was sitting in an office. I had this, I guess, internship at my school, UC Irvine, with the yearbook program. We have like a yearbook.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like a marketing intern or something like that. So I was sitting in the yearbook office, and I see that I was on Facebook, which I was never on Facebook for some reason. And I saw that Gary Vaynerchuk was going to go live later in the day, right? So I'm like, interesting. And then it said, put your question down and your phone number, maybe we'll call you. So, I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'll just put my question down. I'll put my phone number, and then we'll see. So I go about my day, and then I'm about to go into class, and I get a call, and it's from New York. And so then I'm like, okay, who do I know from New York? And then I remember, oh man, I put my phone number down. That's right. So I'm like, okay, this has to be him, right? So I'm looking at it, and then I slide it, and then I say hello. And then it's like a few seconds of silence. And then it's like, hey, what's going on, Brian? This is Gary Vaynerchuk. You're on the Ask Gary V show. What are you doing? Where are you from? And what questions do you have for me? And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was taken aback, and I was like, oh, shoot. Like, I'm actually on the show. Yo, what's up? So, I tell him my spiel. I think the two questions I asked him were, I asked him what his thoughts were on adversity and success, and then what his thoughts were on, forget what the second question was, but that first, that, oh, no, that was the second question. What are your thoughts on adversity and success? And so then I guess we got into an exchange where I was very self-aware of adversity and how it plays in success, and he was really impressed by that. And so then he offered me the internship on the spot over the phone, based on those two questions. And he literally set it off a hunch. And so, actually, I'll probably put because I forget what the second question is, but I'll try to edit the second question that I put in, like a piece of the audio from the actual interview.
Nice.
It was with Wendy Sachs, who was he was on with Wendy Sachs, who was I think like a CNN news contributor that had just written a book, or some journalist, I believe. And so, yeah, so that's how I got the internship. So fast forward, that was in September of 2017, I think. Yeah, or 2017, I think. And then the summer of 2018 is when I had the internship. So it was during the summertime. So I'd fly into New York, right? And so this whole time I'm thinking like, okay, you know how when you see celebrities and you're kind of like, are they actually like that in real life? Like,
yeah. You kind of question that.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if like, was he actually like that in real life, or was he kind of, faking it a little bit? And so, I first day I show up in slacks, and so I didn't have a tie on, but it was sort of like a suit. I wasn't wearing a tie, but it was a semi-suit. So I walk in, and then I see everyone's wearing like, cargo shorts and like graphic tees. And so immediately I'm like sticking out like a sore thumb. I'm like, okay, like, I could tell a lot of people here are casual. Gary wears like jeans and a t-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
So I show up, fast forward like a couple weeks, I start to get the hang of things. The first summer I was doing a lot of community management work. So like responding to comments profusely, doing a lot of Twitter work. And so as I got closer and closer to what, my seat was literally right outside Gary's office. I slowly realized that, man, this guy works like crazy, like, dude, it redefined what I thought work actually was. I thought that I worked hard compared to like my circle of friends. But when I saw the level that this guy worked at, I was like, man, this guy is insane. Like, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. And like, he's eating during meetings. He has like phone calls. He's like traveling from place to place. It was insane what I saw there.
Well, let's get into the work he does. So, like,
Yeah.
what kind of work does he do? Like,
Yeah.
you're observing this. So, like, what is he like? Literally, what's he doing? Is he talking to people?
Yes.
Is he, writing things out?
A lot of it is actual meetings. It was probably like 70% meetings, and the meetings probably consisted of general like meetings with executives. He has a company, VaynerMedia, that does work with Fortune 500 businesses. So like Pepsi and like Toyota and like all those big businesses, they do like marketing work for them. So yeah, so he's generally doing calls, either on calls with clients or on calls with or meetings with actual team members at VaynerMedia. I think the New York office, he has like 4 offices. The New York office had at the time about 500 or so people. And so, the agency now I think is like
It,
1,000 or so people.
I
Yeah.
always wondered this, right? And I'm just curious. Is it actually in that big blue tall building thing that's kind of, is that like really his office or what is that?
Yeah.
That whole
It's
thing or is it?
Hudson Yards. No. It's just 2 floors.
Okay. I was going to
Uh,
say, wow, dude.
yeah, no. So
That's still a nice
I
building
mean,
though.
no, very very nice. And I think his business I think is 500 million in revenue.
Nice. Nice.
But Coach and Coach Bags, L'Oreal, they were also in that same building.
Mhm.
They owned, I think they had 12 floors, and VaynerMedia only had 2. So I mean, just to tell you the difference in scale, and for him to be in a building like that is like really awesome. But yeah, it was a super nice office. But anyways, yeah, all the meetings were, and what was so crazy, what I thought was super dope, is he had a lot of 15-minute meetings, and it was with any employee. I think the policy is you have to meet with him, I think once or twice a year. Every single employee he meets with them for 15 minutes. So he really sits down with every single employee, and obviously he can't get to know every single one of them on a personal level, but just the fact that he's able to take the time and meet with all these employees is like really really cool,
Yeah,
especially at his level.
definitely.
um,
Yeah, no, he puts a big emphasis. I noticed that right now too, that, um, he's like the good boss, right? I don't think, I
yeah,
mean, I'm
yeah,
curious to know what you think, but I don't think he believes in the philosophy of being feared. I think he believes in ruling, I guess, if you want to call it that,
yeah,
in
yeah,
a loving way,
yeah.
being open, how can I help you do better work? Like, what can we do? What would you say that's true, or what's that
a
style of?
100%. They have a whole, I mean, I guess it'd be tradition like the HR department, but instead of being focused more on like HR work, it's more focused on like how can they touch like every employee in a meaningful way while they work there, whether it be like gifts or like for example, they have these things called Vaynerversaries. So every like year that you are working at the company, it's your Vaynerversary. And so there was this employee who was working there I think for like 6 years or so. And so for the 6th year, she was a big, I think it was Cardinals fan or something like that. And so they actually bought her 2 Cardinal tickets, to go see game, and actually bought her flights over there to watch the game. Which I mean, things like that, it's like it really impacts each employee, uh, in a profound way. When you do things like that that are meaningful.
Definitely, 100%.
Um,
I think I really like that strategy of business where, like Simon Sinek, right? He talks about that a
mhm.
lot. Um, building those circles of trust. And I really think that when you personally can do something like that for an employee, I think it makes them like the company more. And I think if they feel comfortable there, um, for the most part, they want to work harder and they can do better work. I believe that. But some employees ruin it where they feel too comfortable and they're just lazy, and so then they take advantage of that, and that kind of hurts the system. So it's got to be kind of balanced. But if you can have good bosses and employees that are still ambitious to work hard, I think that you can have a really nice, amazing company culture.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what I love so much is Gary's bluntness and like his honesty in things.
Hmm.
And I mean, a lot of people, like he says, like, I should be the one that works hardest in this company because it's my company. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm the one that has to, pay the bills and make sure that this business operates how it should.
Yep.
So I should be the one that kind of takes the risk and, you know, hope and be the good boss,
Yeah, definitely. So what kind of work did you do there as an intern?
Yeah. So the first summer I focused on community management. So I did a lot of so responding to people on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. That was the majority of the work that I did. But I also did a lot of other things on the side. So he released his shoe that summer. He did like a collaboration with K Swiss. He released a shoe.
Yeah.
So
So
I had to pretty much, I was in charge of doing these things called surprise and delight, where I would mail out free shoes to people, like on random like his fans. I would just mail out free shoes. So I had to I think I mailed out probably like 2 or 3 a day. And we just do that to try and, obviously touch his fans in an impactful way, and make sure that, like, all his fans feel heard. That was the majority of the work that I did the first summer. And I did a couple, some side gigs with, like, actually the company, VaynerMedia. There's this brand, Miracle Whip, like this mayonnaise brand. Uh, I think it's Kraft or something like that owns them. So I did a little bit of work with them, Surprise and Delight.
mhm.
And I got to see some of the agency side of the work, which is super cool. And just to see how cutting edge they were in like an operational sense was super awesome. And then the second summer, I focused a lot on Facebook ads and Instagram content. So we had like this whole machine where we would kind of slate out different video concept ideas, pitch them to Gary, and then we'd run it through this like Facebook ad machine, and then we'd post it on Instagram based on all that data.
Yeah. So what's this machine like? Like,
Yeah. So pretty much, so the first summer, I didn't really do too much of that, but I got to see kind of the progression of how a team works.
mhm.
And so what was interesting is, the first summer we created all this content. Gary says content is the verb. We created a ton of content, but we were having trouble posting all of it because it was so much content. I mean, think about what you create so much content, you have trouble posting all of it, right?
I definitely know what that is now. Yes.
So we had all this content. We were like, man, like, we're not posting all this, so all this content is being wasted pretty much. So we got the second summer, they got a lot more efficient in being okay. We have all these content ideas. Let's make them, let's clip them out, and then let's run them through this Facebook ad machine, right? So we'll post them on Facebook ads. We'll put, say, $5-10 against each piece of content, and then based on which one performs the best, we'll pitch it to Gary and be like, okay, this piece of content performed the best,
Yeah,
right? And then he'll post it.
that works because you don't have to like, you can run ads and no one that actually follows you actually sees them, right? That's why that works
Right,
so well.
right.
And
Yeah.
then you post it for your audience that already follows you after you get the data from how it did with the ads, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I think what blows my mind to this day, and as I say that, when I heard stories about it before I interned, I didn't believe it. And as I say it, I'm sure people still won't believe me. But Gary actually posts the Instagram post himself, right? So the actual caption, this was something that he really, really cared about, was if he's replying to your comment, he wants it to be him, not someone on the team. If it's at Gary V, he wants it to be him. So I said that I was the community manager, right? I would respond to people in comments. I would use the team Gary V handle. So it was like two separate things, right? So if it was from Gary V, it would be him. If it was at Team Gary V, it would be obviously one of us.
So being authentic matters.
Being authentic, yeah. He wanted it to be, very, very authentic, and he wanted it to actually be from him, not just, from somebody else. So that was basically the 2 summers, and the one thing that I'll say both summers that I did, and first of all, most interns don't get invited back, right? I got invited back the second summer. The reason for that is the first summer I was like,
Because you're better.
so the first summer I was like, okay, let's be, I told myself, let's be very honest here. Am I actually gonna learn, be like this expert in 8 weeks? Am I gonna learn a lot in 8 weeks? Maybe. But what would be really, really important is trying to meet as many people as I possibly can in that company, right? So I made sure that every day I had a 15 with someone in the company. So I went on LinkedIn. I went on VaynerMedia. I saw all the companies, all the employees that worked under the organization. I saw their title, operations manager, Facebook ads specialist or whatever.
Mhm.
And I'd be okay, that's interesting. Then I'd shoot them an email and be like, hey, would you be down to do a 15 in the coffee room or in the lunchroom, whatever? And what was so awesome about that culture is I expected, who's going to respond to an intern, right? Like, come on. So I thought no one was going to reply to me, but every single person actually replied to me that I emailed, including the executives, right? So the CFO, the COO, they all replied to me, and they're all willing to do 15-minute meetings with me, which was super dope. And then, of course, at the end of the internship, I got a 15 with Gary, which was, really awesome too. So I try to just make an impact in the culture as opposed to like try to be this like,
Yeah,
really smart dude that like knew all this stuff. I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn as much as I can.
humbled yourself type of thing.
Yeah. I'm going to learn as much as I can within 8 weeks, but I'm going to go hard on this meeting people thing,
So I want to ask you two questions. And so, what
Yeah.
was it
Yeah.
like? What was the 15 minutes like with the executives and the people in the company?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you guys discuss?
Uh,
What did you learn?
Yeah, yeah. So I try to, even um, professions that I had no understanding of, or even that I had no interest in, like all the computer programmers that work there, I try to schedule 15s with them, just to kind of understand what they did in the context of the rest of the company. And then I got a 15, with the COO, the CFO, a lot of the lawyers there, which was fascinating, interning or having a 15 with the lawyers. And basically the conversation went, okay, I want to understand, like, what do you do here? Um, One key question that I always asked is if they actually liked it. If when they were in high school, at this point I had just graduated high school. I was in my first year. I just finished my first year of college. So I was kind of unsure with what I wanted to do. And so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, did you foresee yourself doing this? And then they would say yes or no. And if they, then I would ask, okay, do you actually enjoy doing it? Um, and what was fascinating is some of them said, okay, I'm just doing this for some cash. And then I have this vision to build this out, this idea that I have out.
Yeah.
And then some people would be like, no, like, I want to be here for the next, 5 years, and then, transition out to other firms and stuff like that. So I tried to really understand what they did and if they liked it, and then kind of get some advice on what I should do.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. I love to ask people, and they always trip out because I guess not too many people think this deep. But I asked them, kind of Simon Sinek's question, like, why do you do what you do? Like, do you know your
Yeah,
why?
yeah,
And a lot of people don't. But no, I do think that's definitely interesting. I mean, I definitely ask people this question right now, like, you know, why do you work here? What got you interested in, law, science, whatever whatever person I'm talking to, and it's always interesting to get their feedback because like your job is like where you're going to spend a majority of your life, I think, just by the math. And so you want to like it and you want to be fulfilled. You don't want to hate a majority of your life, in other words, right? So yeah, that's really important. But okay, so then what was the 15 minutes like with Gary Vee?
yeah. So the conversation was basically, the impact that I had on the company, like, or more specifically the team. So I worked with Team Gary V 97% of the time. I was with them, right? So I got, and they're the people closest to Gary. So he noticed that I made a real impact on the team itself.
Hmm.
And so basically the conversation was, I don't necessarily know what to do per se, because I have all these interests. And the biggest thing with me is like, I get interested in things rather easily. So like, I mean, every year I have like this hobby of things, and that kind of confuses me in terms of like what one thing I should triple down on, you know? And basically his advice was just pick one, right? You like all these things, just pick one and see if that works. If it doesn't, then just try something else, just try things. And so, I felt like VaynerMedia was a place where I could try a lot of things, which is why I went back that second summer.
You really made an impact here.
Yeah.
A lot of people took a notice.
I tried to.
You got a lot of fans out there.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I tried to.
You did it.
Yeah.
It's not that easy to do, by the way. You made a real impact.
Yeah.
So now what?
Now I go back to school.
And what is
in
school?
UC Irvine, California.
Yep.
Yep.
How long?
I'm gonna go into my sophomore year.
You're a kid.
Just turned 19, yeah.
Is it harder now because of this is such an anti-college environment?
Yes, it's harder to go back. I didn't really pay much attention. Now I'm just like, yeah. Now it's even worse.
Now it's like you can't even unsee it.
Yeah, I know.
I know. But you can go a different route if you want to like make your parents happy. You can just turn it into a vacation.
Yeah.
For real.
That's what yeah.
Just don't fail out.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, like if Gary V's coming to an hour away and giving a talk and you're interested in that, go. If Casey does an impromptu pop-up meet and greet and you want to go and you have to miss science. Do you understand?
Yeah, I get it.
Because I felt like I got a lot of exposure with trying different things. No.
Definitely. No, that's it's interesting. And honestly, I want to say I think that's a blessing. I think that's a blessing to get interested in a lot of things quickly.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're gonna have the energy and the curiosity to keep learning it and get good at it.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of people that have trouble getting interested in things. So, you know, I'm just naturally curious about things. Like I just get curious about things very easily, which makes me interested in them. But yeah, so that's pretty much what the 15-minute convo was. It was, you know, the impact that I made on the team, A, and how impressed he was. And then B, you know, I asked him those questions about, you know, how should I go about testing things?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so he pretty much said, just try a bunch of things because you won't know the difference either way. You know?
I totally agree with that. But that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So what else about the experience there that really stuck out to you compared to, I don't know, have you like seen other businesses, or, you know, what you know about other businesses? Like what distinguishes, you know,
Vayner from other businesses, other firms? Dude, they're so laid back and kind of chill compared to other firms. Like other firms, marketing agencies, you know, you got to come in wearing a tie, a suit, which I mean, I guess there's a place for that, but I mean, it's just a very relaxed environment, you know, and that allowed people to kind of share their ideas a lot more efficiently. But what I noticed with them is they were so, they tried to test out all these leaner ways to communicate. So for example, at a regular marketing agency, right, let's say you have a brand like Pepsi or something. So at a regular marketing agency, the team that takes on Pepsi, they come up with an idea, they send it out to Pepsi. Pepsi then takes 2 weeks to reply and they say, you know what, that idea is okay, maybe you should try this. So then they come back, they reformulate, they send it out to Pepsi again. Pepsi takes 2 weeks, they say, oh, that idea is good. They take another 2 weeks to approve it, and then they send it back. So by the time you started, it's already been like a few months before you actually start the idea, right? So what they tried is, okay, that's a very inefficient system. What they tried is a system where, okay, let's take the people, for example, at Pepsi, and let's just throw them in a group chat with us, the decision makers, right? And then we have an idea, let's send it out to them. They approve it, they don't approve it, fine. Literally 30 minutes later, they have their answer whether it's approved or not. And then they start moving on it.
That's fast.
So it's way more efficient, and it cuts out all the the middle work, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one of the coolest experiences was, so Miracle Whip, the brand, or I discussed this earlier, right? Miracle Whip, it's a mayonnaise.
Mm-hmm.
They had this idea where they were gonna have a live stream, and they were gonna slowly have the mayonnaise seep out of a bottle slowly with the use of gravity, and it was gonna land on an object. It was gonna be live, and so people had to guess which object it was gonna land on. So I had to like basically walk around New York and find like Barbie dolls and like tomatoes, all these random objects in order to put it in the live stream. And we got that approved in like a matter of 30 minutes. And so then we just rolled with it, you know? So it was just a way, it was like a kind of a gimmicky thing in order to get people to like get interested in the brand.
Yeah, creativity for sure.
Yeah,
What's it like
creativity.
moving around New York like that?
I mean, New York is just a whole other beast. I mean, dude, the combination of the craziness in New York and how crazy hard people work in that office was insane. I mean, dude, that city literally never stops moving. And like, I mean, when I came back to Cali, SoCal, it was like I was in Hawaii, bro. Like things were so chill and calm here. New York is just like, I mean, you walk out at 3 a.m., it's like still a bunch of buzz, you know, like it's so loud there. And here it's like, I mean, I remember the first night I fell asleep in my house back in SoCal. I was amazed by how quiet it was. Like it was just quiet. And over there, you know, when you go to sleep, it's like a bunch of noise all the time.
You know, I always wondered where, okay, so this is so random, but I always wondered, like, because I knew that you were an intern or whatever, and like, this is kind of like, I think like the first time I really get into it.
Yeah.
Where did you live?
Yeah. So there was a company that rents out apartment spaces to summer interns in Manhattan. So I lived in Midtown Manhattan, which was basically the center of New York City. So I had a roommate that was also an intern somewhere else at a different company, which is a cool experience, right? Because you socialize with the people there in the dorms and then also the people at the office, which is super cool. So, you know, I got to meet a bunch of different interns that, you know, interned at all these like other firms and kind of hear their experiences and stuff. So I lived in Midtown Manhattan, which was, I mean, it's crazy. I was about a 15-minute walk from the office.
So did you walk there or did you?
Yeah, I walked there.
Yeah, you walked there.
No, I walked there. I mean, it was faster to walk than the subway, which was really convenient because, I mean, just to kind of walk through the city during the morning is just like bizarre, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I've never been there, but like it just looks like it's just like tons of people everywhere you go. Like you cannot.
Yeah.
There's always someone there.
It's a bunch of people, and you know, again, that kind of combination of seeing how hard people worked, especially on Team Gary. Jeez, I mean.
So you're from LA, right? Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, that's a big city too. Like, what's that?
Yep. Yeah, dude. So there were some interns there that were from like, you know, rural Kentucky that, you know, New York City was like crazy, right? I mean, to think about, you know, a rural area versus like a hyper metropolitan area like New York, I mean, it was insane. But I mean, I was already kind of, you know, from an urban city. New York or LA is, you know, pretty, you know, busy. But I mean, think about LA, but like multiply that by like 7. I mean, New York City is just like crazy, buzzing, hyper all the time. Like it's still more insane than LA, you know?
Yeah, no, I don't even know how I could like that. I don't know if I would like that or not like that. That's I guess I'll find out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no, for sure. It was an experience like the first month and a half. But those last few weeks, dude, I was like, okay, you know, like I'm kind of over this whole like, you know, buzz all the time. Like I kind of like my peace and quiet a little bit, you know. But it's definitely something you have to get used to. And like, you know, I love the city, but I don't know if I would ever like move and live there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel you on that. You know, I guess it's just different taste and what people like. But yeah, so I mean, it sounds like overall you had a really unique experience for sure.
100%. And like the big thing is just the work, how it redefined it was. I mean, like I had for an intern, and what was super cool also is you're an intern, but they don't treat you like an intern, which is super cool. They'll, you know, I'm a capable person. So they didn't baby me, you know, which was cool. And some people may not like that. They want a little bit more structure, you know, but they would just give me a task and then I would have to figure it out. You know, if I had questions, I could ask them. But, you know, for the most part, I had to figure things out, which I really, really like.
So this is another weird question, but I don't know why. So I'm just curious. You said like Gary Vee works a lot and you'd be eating in between or whatever and whatever.
Yeah.
What's he eat?
What does he eat?
Yeah.
Oh, bro. At the time, I think he had a trainer. So it was a lot of salads. And the thing about Gary is the guy just doesn't like water for some reason.
Really?
So you have to like literally, I mean, they had to bring him like glasses full of water and they had to remind him to drink water all the time. So
what's he like to drink? Like, what's he like to drink then?
He likes tea and coffee. But I mean, just water, like you have to be giving him a lot of water all the time. But I mean, like he's just such a like force of nature. I had never seen anyone like just go from meeting to meeting to meeting, back to back, and like there was always action in the office. You know, when he was there, you know, if he didn't have like a speaking gig, you could really feel the energy in the office like lift up. You know, so yeah, I mean, overall, it was a great experience. Him and his team worked incredibly hard. My first day back home, I was like, okay, like I really need to step up my game in terms of work, because you know I thought I was working hard before, but turns out I'm definitely
okay. Interesting thing that I think we've talked about before on this podcast.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, you know, who you surround yourself with or being in that environment kind of rubs off on you? Like when you went back home, did you feel like less inclined to work as hard, like kind of rubbed off a little bit? But like when you're there, like you wanted to, I mean, you see other people working hard, like you see him working those long hours and going hard. Does that make you, you know what I mean? Like, did it?
Yeah. 100%. Seeing how hard people worked, 1,000% made me want to work harder when I was there. And then for sure, when I came back, you know, those first couple weeks, I was like, okay, I need to work hard. And then, you know, as it kind of, I got farther away from, you know, the date that I was in New York, I kind of forgot it a little bit, but it's always there in my brain. Like whenever I like the first couple months, I had like I would always remember, okay, New York is like 3 hours ahead. So they're like 3 hours working harder, you know, like I would wake up at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and it was already noon over there. So they already had half their day is already gone.
They're already ahead of you.
So I had that kind of idea in my head, and I still do. Whenever I think about how hard they worked, I'm like, man, I need to work even harder, you know? But for sure, you definitely, the people you surround yourself with, it rubs off on you for sure.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's interesting. Like to build a, you know, a company culture like that. Like if I ever start a company, well, I guess I've already started a company, but like if I start a for-profit company, or even a nonprofit, you know, I want to instill that type of environment where, yeah, we're going to work hard, and like, I'll lead by example. I'll work the hardest, right? In fact, like I want to outwork people, to be honest with you. I kind of have that Jordan, Kobe mindset of like, you know, I don't like when someone's outworking me. I'm going to outwork you. Like, I don't care. I want to put in the hours. But I think that is such a good company culture to have in business to, you know, everybody wants to work really hard and like they're motivated to do that. It energizes everybody, right? When I see you working harder, it gives me energy to work harder, and we all just become this machine.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, again, that idea of company culture is so important, because the culture that he built really impacts, you know, productivity, but it's also like, you know, you just feel better. You know, if you're treating your employees good, you just feel good, you know? And his ability to delegate was amazing. And, you know, he'll give people responsibilities. And, you know, a lot of people like to do work themselves, or
Yeah. So he's cool with he's cool with like trusting, like, hey, I have faith in you that you'll get this done the right way. Like
yeah, 100%.
That's hard for some people to do.
Yeah.
You know?
And I mean, what's cool is, he's willing to admit, again, let the data speak for itself. If you do something and it's good, it's either good or bad, so and he's willing to admit if he does something, this turned out good, this turned out bad. Not everyone will be good all the time.
He's honest.
So and what I love too was the fact that he surrounds himself with people that disagree. I thought that was really, really cool. It's easy to surround yourself with yes men, people that always agree with you all the time. But whenever I met with like an executive or someone, they'd be like, yeah, Gary is great, but I think that, marketing could be a little bit more like this instead of like this, or this could work a little bit like this or instead of like that. And I thought that was super cool because, you don't want people to tell you your idea is great all the time.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be garbage,
No,
you want people that are honest with you.
Definitely honesty. You want the guy that says no, and you want the guy that, will say, you want the guy that's just honest, honestly.
Yeah. You want the person that's honest, and at the end of the day, the data will speak for itself, right? So if Gary has this idea and everyone says, no, that's not going to work, and he still does it and it doesn't work, he'll admit it and say, what, I was wrong. I wanted to test this, but I was wrong. Or, again, if, someone proposes something that Gary doesn't agree with, he's still willing to do it. Yeah. Even though he doesn't agree with it.
It's interesting. Jeff Bezos has like the same thing where he, like, some executives can tell him no. And like he can if everybody says no, like the answer is no. And I think that's just so crazy because like when you're a big CEO like Jeff Bezos or Gary Vaynerchuk, like you wouldn't think it, like, it's a total dictatorship, but like, no, these people they know how to humble themselves at the right time and be wrong. And I think that really is what could set them apart from a lot of other people.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like delegating people, knowing how to delegate properly and trusting people is super important. Again, like an intern like me, I was given tasks that, regular employees were given, which again, some people may like that, some people may not, because some people like to be a little bit more structured. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I enjoyed it a lot.
Definitely.
Just being able to figure things out myself was really fun.
Definitely. So you got any other cool stories or any last type of thoughts or like mentions that you think would be cool to tell the audience about working for Gary Vaynerchuk?
I mean, there was a lot of cool people that came through the office. That was really, it was really cool to say hi to them. So those were always really, really exhilarating experiences. And then what was super cool too is going and meeting some of these fans. That was super dope. He had a sneaker release party. And then he had a like a meet and greet at like a shoe store. And so, meeting some of these fans and kind of talking with them and, why Gary impacted them and stuff was super rewarding because, it's easy to, it's a lot, you can't really visualize responding to a comment, but then when you see the actual person, it's, it's a lot more, okay, these are actually real people commenting. Yeah. It's just numbers on a screen. And then once you just keep seeing numbers on a screen, you kind of forget that they're actual people.
Yeah.
So that was like super, exhilarating meeting some of the people there and
definitely
some of the fans. And, still like, even though VaynerMedia is not a huge, massive company as maybe Amazon will be, a lot of people, when you say VaynerMedia, their ears kind of perk up. Because it's kind of like a startup vibe, but like a lot of people there know what they're doing. So it's like not like small, but it's not big where they're not agile. So I mean, it's overall a great experience. And I think closing thoughts for sure, if you get an internship, be as helpful as you possibly can be, but also try to meet as many people as you possibly can. at the actual company, especially a company like Vayner that encourages that. I tried to meet as many people as I possibly could, and I made it a mission to meet someone every single day, and that's what got me back there the second summer, is because I made an impact on the actual people there. So try to be as helpful as you possibly can, but remember, there's only so much you can learn, so might as well just try to meet as many people as you possibly can.
Definitely. I think that's great advice. I really, really do, because connections are everything, and just meeting people, you can always learn from them.
Yep.
You can always, get a better understanding of the world from seeing their point of view, what their interests are. You can make friends that way. I mean, people are, like I said, for me, people are everything. So I think that's great. So
it's people, bro. It's people.
Sounds like you had an amazing experience working for Gary Vaynerchuk and learning everything. And yeah, I guess that's to close, right? To close our episode 12 of Conversations with Brian and Elijah. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thanks.